So far, it seems that every day we're getting bits and pieces of new information revealed to us when it comes to Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater. And the obsessed kid in me from the 2000s is absolutely loving it. Konami is aiming to ensure that this title is respectful towards longtime fans and newcomers as well. There's a lot of great info in this article that generates hope and confirms many great things that you guys will enjoy, and also confirms some expected but disappointing things some may not enjoy. But I promise you, there's more good in this than bad. For all the latest when it comes to Metal Gear Solid and your favorite games, be sure to hit that subscribe button and notification bell to stay up to date and help raise this 14% even higher. Now with that being said, let's get into the video. It is important to note that this article originally is in Japanese, so I'm using Google to translate it, which is not 100% accurate, so some words I'll be showing on screen will be wrong, such as when they mention Kojima and Yoji, they respond with "I'm" instead of saying "they" or their name specifically. But the overall message is still conveyed pretty well, and I'll be linking the article below in the description, so feel free to check it out for yourself. Starting off with the good news. No new story will be added or changed. They are ensuring and doubling down that the story and mission that we all know and love will be faithfully reproduced, because IGN asked Konami directly and the page translates as, since it follows the original work, there will be no new additions or changes to the story, since it is following the original work. However, new graphics and gameplay enhancements will of course be updated towards a modern format, which I'm greatly looking forward to even more, especially with it appearing that Konami is aware that if they fuck this up in any way, specifically with the story, it is essentially company suicide. Now for the negative news, but there is some positive to it, I promise. They have confirmed that Hideo Kojima and Yoji Shinkawa, the art director, will not be involved in this remake, stating that though they are not involved, the development team is working together very hard to remake and port this game so it can be enjoyed by many fans across all platforms. They've also assured us that many of the members of Konami's development team that are currently working on Metal Gear Solid Delta were in fact members who worked on previous Metal Gear Solid titles throughout the years, which makes me feel a little bit more comfortable about the whole thing, especially if they have newcomers on the team who were fans of the original. And it goes to note that if they do plan to keep the story exactly the same and not change anything like they've stated many times already, then I could see why there is no current need to include Kojima and other original members on board. And again, if Konami does in fact change things, removing any key moments or even optional pieces, as the original game had many of those, the fans will know and crucify them, rightfully so. Also, in addition to them confirming that Konami's development team will consist of some of the original Metal Gear Solid team's members, they also confirmed that Virtuous is definitely assisting them in this release. We made a video yesterday talking about all of that, but it's really cool to see the details have officially been confirmed by them directly from IGN. So be sure to check that out if you guys have not yet. That video will be on your top right. Now, in regards to the Japanese version of the audio dialogue, they had some interesting segment here that confirms that they will be reusing that audio of the original voice recordings. When asked specifically about if they are recording any new dialogue, Konami responded that all the character voices from that time are being used as they are, including the voice actors who passed away over the years. The following voice actors who have passed away are the Japanese voice actors for Sigint, Colonel Volgin, Granin, The Fear, and President Johnson. This is specifically talking about the Japanese voices, but one can assume that from this statement that they will be doing this with the English voices as well. Many fans don't want them to record new dialogue due to the previous issues with the Twin Snakes losing some of the original's oomph in regards to performances and the way that certain lines were delivered. It's definitely still got a 2000s feel for it for sure when you listen back to it, but Metal Gear Solid games dialogue, especially Part 1, have held up pretty well over the years. Not to mention the series has pretty much set the gold standard for acting within video games, with the original Metal Gear Solid release on the PlayStation 1. I mean, just go back and listen to Resident Evil 1 compared to Metal Gear Solid 1. And now my personal favorite news among all of this is that they confirmed that they are very open to and intend to remake other Metal Gear Solid titles in this fashion. Granted, if the fan reception and feedback is well received. The translation says, "Will you be releasing remakes of the other numbered titles?" And Konami responded they will continue to consider the remakes of past titles in the series other than just Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater while listening to customer feedback. To be honest, it all comes down to execution. If they absolutely nail Metal Gear Solid 3's remake down to perfection and the new gameplay elements that they introduce and add in are very good, and of course the story remains the same as well as the other ones, then I'll be okay with this. As long as they're continuing to add onto it and enhance and improve the experience, then I see no cause for concern. As even Kojima himself stated that he expects long after he leaves the company or is no longer making Metal Gear Solid games himself, there will be more done without him. At least in this fashion, they're aiming to be faithful recreations. I do hope if they eventually do plan to make new Metal Gear games, not remakes, but like new Metal Gear games, they at least have Kojima on board for that one, or he gives his blessing. Metal Gear Solid Outer Haven on Twitter, in their translation, read that they stated that you will 100% respect the story and characters, as well as the game design, and there will be no new additions or changes made. That's what he read in his translation, but for me, I didn't get any 100% numbers in mind. Now, when can we expect to see a release window for Metal Gear Solid 3 Remake? Well, since the Volume 1 collection within the first 3 games is aiming for a fall 2023 release, I can see the Metal Gear Solid Delta title dropping next year, aiming for a springtime release, possibly April 2023. Seems to be a good window to me. Miliamond put out some emojis today that seems to allude to a Metal Gear Solid release within the Scorpio dateline, which would be October 23rd to November 21st. The tweet basically reads that a release date or calendar for Metal Gear Solid, universal symbol for box, is aiming or bullseye slated to be releasing in the Scorpio season. That's how I interpret it, at least. I mean, with these recent releases and announcements in gaming that we've been getting, from Tears of the Kingdom to Mortal Kombat 1 being not very far from their reveals when they're actually releasing, this could be a possibility as well. Not to mention, it's been rumored to have been in development since the pandemic and maybe before that, so this timescale is very intriguing to me. But I want to know what you guys think. And now they asked about the gameplay elements and what new hardware feature implementations can we expect to see in regards to 3D audio and haptic feedback. They responded to both and basically said that we will have to wait for future announcements on that. And of course, I will keep you guys updated on all of that on the channel as soon as we get word of it. And recently, not a minute goes by in my days where I'm not thinking about Metal Gear Solid. So I'm constantly looking for updates or interesting topics as well, and I aim to get you all covered on all of that. So be sure to like the video if you enjoyed and subscribe if you are new. More Metal Gear Solid updates are on the way, and you do not want to miss them. My name is Blitz, and thanks for watching.